Let's go to the police station.
So, what news do you have, Mr. Holmes?
Are you sure it's the police bag that you lost?
Yes, but someone attempted to force it open. They didn't succeed, but now the lock is stuck. Perhaps you could...
Let's see. All done.
A big thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Think nothing of it, my friend. So, the reports.
Why don't you wait till the inspectors get back? You would certainly learn more.
If I wanted to meet the inspectors, I would have done so. So, give me the preliminary reports, and above all, do not mention my visit to anyone. Is that clear?
Sure, if that's what you want. Here are the reports.
Thank you.
Have you obtained the preliminary reports?
Yes, we'll read them on the go. Let's to the scene of the crime at Bucks Row, Watson.
But what are all these people doing here, Holmes?
Apparently, they came to see the scene of the crime.
What about us? Aren't we going to see it?
We will return this evening, Watson. The circumstances shall be ideal for carrying out our little experiments. Well, Watson, we are at the scene of the Polly Nichols murder. Imagine the victim lying at the spot where she was found and try to discern all of the clues we can. Watson, you are a writer. I am therefore entrusting you with our deduction board. It will help us to establish certain facts.
Understood, Holmes.
There is only one streetlight lit on this street, Watson, and this spot is particularly poorly lit.
This spot is deserted, Holmes. The prostitutes only come here to exercise.
No signs of blood. No marks on the ground. The ground is muddy. There is a black bonnet near the left hand. The body was lying on its back, legs straight and slightly apart. The skirt had been lifted up to the middle of the body. The left hand was touching the barn door. The body was still warm. Let's reread the preliminary report for the details on the wounds inflicted upon this poor woman. Let's look at this poor woman more closely. The throat was slit from left to right. There are 2 incisions. There's a bruise on the left cheek. There's a bruise at the level of the right maxilla. The tongue is swollen. A small pool of blood, 6 inches in diameter. Well, Watson, we have found all of the possible clues, I think. We will now attempt to recreate the scene of the murder. Come closer, Watson. I have to make you up.
You are joking, Holmes? I feel ridiculous, Holmes.
Now, Watson, come and stand here in front of me. You shall play the role of the poor woman and I shall play that of the murderer. Let's try to reconstruct the facts to ensure the final result corresponds indisputably to the way that Polly Nichols was killed. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. The murderer had enough room to inflict the wounds to the neck, and these wounds suggest the left hand was used. My dear Watson, now that we have found all of our clues, nothing remains but to subject them to our most likely hypotheses in order to deduce the facts. The victim was most probably dead before being laid down. Once the heart stopped, gravity drained the body slowly, not in a heavy spurt that would have stained half the street.
Thank you, Holmes. I understand why you told me not to change clothes. Do you realize that our behavior didn't alarm anyone?
The victim's ordeal was even more discreet. By acting in silence, we have confirmed something. The crime definitely took place here. The victim and her murderer were able to come here without making any noise, and afterwards the murder took place without the slightest cry being uttered. Come, Watson, let's go home. We have spent far too long in this sinister alley. And so, my dear Watson, the day and night which we passed in Whitechapel were enlightening, weren't they?
An adventure that I most certainly will never relate, to be in the skin of that poor woman. I prefer not to speak of it further. But have we really learned anything about the murderer? Obviously a man, given the necessary strength.
We have little to go on, at least no more than the police, but in my opinion Inspector Aberline has a trick or two up his sleeve. No, I want to talk about the facts and what we can draw from them. We know where the crime was committed and under what conditions. I would like to ask you about the possible motives for the crime. According to you, Watson, what could have pushed the murderer to act in such a way?
Revenge, Holmes?
Revenge could be a possible motive, but with one small reservation. We have reason to believe that the victim considered her murderer to be a typical client.
A personal drama?
Love can certainly lead to many a drama, but we have to consider the fact that the victim didn't know her attacker.
Theft, perhaps?
I have a hard time believing that someone would attack poor Polly so fiercely just to rob her of a few coins.
Homicidal insanity, Holmes?
It is indubitable that the man who did this to Polly Nichols is not of his full senses.
Black magic?
I'm not terribly interested in the occult or black magic. Let's give the benefit of the doubt to this motive. Elementary. Very well, Watson. I think that we've exhausted the topic. Take a rest and we'll speak again later.